Hello, I am the Gentlemanly Gamer.
And I'm Zane Taicho.
Welcome to the Undisputed Nerds YouTube channel. You're about to watch a clip from our podcast, which we do every week, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of your other favourite podcast platforms.
Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hope you enjoy the clip.
It's well done. It's just, for a standalone movie, it struggles. It struggles.
Just before we move on, the last thing I'll say about the action as well, I don't know why there's certain moments that look really jarring, such as, when they're fighting the destroyers and Qui-Gon says, "We got to get away." They do this weird sort of flash run. Just almost like the steel just runs off the screen sort of thing, which is really weird. And I was like, is that a blur? The other time as well, when in the Duel of Fates, Obi-Wan gets kicked off. I think it's Obi-Wan gets kicked off one of the runways, and he falls quite some distance, and then he manages to, catch himself.
Recover and force jump up, yeah.
And it's the force jump up, because he makes it look like, the way it's cut, it looks like a little hop back onto the same platform.
Every time he does it, I think of that that meme where it, like, when he goes off into the galaxy. So it does it, and I just, in my head, I just go. It's good. It's good. All right, well, let's get on to talking about the characters then, because there's a lot to cover in that. So I guess, this film really establishes the entire prequel trilogy, as it's the first one, as you would expect. So how do you want to break this down, Zane? I'm assuming you don't want to talk about bit characters, because there's no real point, is there? We're not going to talk about Anakin's mum or what's it, Sebulba? Not Sebulba, but Watto.
Guido?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Otto, yeah.
I don't see the point in talking about them necessarily, or
No.
The Supreme Chancellor before Palpatine.
Jabba's in this.
Yeah, Jabba's in this for 5 seconds.
Makes a cameo. There's no point really discussing those. But I guess what I found really weird about this is that if you're not a Star Wars fan, you'll have no idea who Qui-Gon Jinn is going into this.
I had no idea who Qui-Gon Jinn was going into this.
They don't really. Do you know what I mean? They don't explain. This is Qui-Gon. Do you know what I mean?
He's never mentioned in any of the original trilogy either. So it's just kind of like there's no context for him whatsoever.
Yeah, but considering he's our main character that we follow throughout this entire thing, right? You would think, there'd be at least some sort of conversational piece where someone goes, "That's Qui-Gon Jinn. He's been a Jedi Master. Well, not a Jedi Master, but a Jedi Knight for years."
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Because the thing about this one is that it's an ensemble piece. Actually, when you look at it on the whole, it's not riding on just Liam Neeson. Although Liam Neeson is one of the main focal points of it. But when you think about it, I think actually, Ewan McGregor is not in this actually as much as you expect him to be. He really isn't. Natalie Portman is in this loads. She's a big
and Keira Knightley.
And Keira Knightley, yes. But Natalie Portman's in this a lot. As is, what's his name? Jake Lloyd? Is that the guy who's young Anakin?
I'll do a quick Google.
I can't remember. Whatever young Anakin is. He's in it load. But this is I guess you're right, because this is a Liam Neeson. This is basically Liam Neeson and Natalie Portman. This is their film. Natalie Portman is in this. I can't emphasize how much Natalie Portman is actually in this. She's in it loads. I think having no history and no background to Qui-Gon is a weird thing, I guess. Yeah. There's no establishing thing with it. It's why I question maybe opening the movie with a trade delegation. It probably would have been a lot more, or made a lot more sense to show maybe Qui-Gon training Obi-Wan a little bit.
Yeah. It's, I guess, you don't feel any sort of emotional sort of motive or drive from him until we get to Tatooine. And that's quite a long time to wait.
But I wonder if that's on purpose because the Jedi are supposed to be emotionless. That is
Yeah,
the whole thing. Maybe it was that that they are just a serene inner peace and a force of movement throughout the galaxy. They're not really they're not supposed to be emotional or anything like that.
sure.
I don't know. Yeah. I see what you mean. I mean, Qui-Gon is basically a bit devoid of anything, really, isn't he? He's just kind of like
Mm.
there you go. It's nameless Jedi. That's essentially what he is.
In so many ways, he feels like a plot device more than
Yes, I would
like
agree 100% with
he's
that. I would
he's the
agree.
guy who finds Anakin.
He's the Anakin finder. Yeah, that's exactly. He's the thing that Anakin. He's the thing that finds Anakin and then makes Obi-Wan train Anakin.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
the whole purpose of him being in this film is to die. That's the only reason he's in this film.
yeah,
You know, yeah. I like Liam Neeson a lot, and I believe him as a Jedi. I really genuinely believe him as a Jedi Knight. Like I think it was
yeah.
great casting as far as he's concerned. Because like, yeah, man, the guy from Taken, he could totally be a Jedi Knight. That's he's badass. Yeah, I liked his performance. I think sometimes he plays it a bit because Qui-Gon never in lore, Qui-Gon never rose to the rank of master, not because he wasn't ready, but because he was basically he's a little bit of a Jedi rebel. Oh, he goes against the flow, any. And so the council never granted him master. So it's a similar kind of thing to Anakin, actually, in the long term. Council never granted him the status of master, and they never did it for Qui-Gon either. So I kind of he's an interesting, especially when you find out later as well that he trained Dooku, I think, or did Dooku train him? Dooku
yes,
trained him, I think.
yeah. Dooku
One way
trains
around. I can't remember which way around it was.
Qui-Gon.
So it's interesting. I would like to have known more about him before he died, but I understand what
Yeah,
his plot device point was. He was there to drive forward the narrative, find Anakin, and then die, so that there was motivation for later things. That is basically what it is.
yeah, that is it. Yeah.
What do you think of Natalie Portman in this as Queen Padme?
You know what? I think it's a great performance. Like it is, yeah, hands down. And considering her age at the time as well, like, I don't think she was that. Maybe
She
like in
wasn't
a
old.
yeah. I don't think she was 20 yet.
I think she just turned 18 when she did it.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's a great performance. I mean, dare I say, I don't think it's a demanding role, but at the same time, I still think like it's a great. And to have what's even weird as well is the swap out with Keira Knightley. Like it
Yeah,
is almost seamless between the two,
I know.
and
It's
that's what's
weird.
quite spooky between it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you think about them now, I mean, there's total differences between them now. But yeah, at
Mm,
the time, they were very much like looking very similar. Um, yeah, I think that I think Natalie Portman carries a lot of this film on her back.
mm,
I really do. She's got a hard role to kind of fill in the sense of like being this kind of like. So she was elected as queen. It's an election on Naboo that makes them queen, which is a weird kind of thing when you think
yeah.
about a monarchy and the way it's supposed to work. But like, she was elected to this post, and she represents her people. But then she also has to juggle this quite weird early relationship, which we know what it will turn into, because obviously
Hmm.
she meets Anakin when he's like 8, and that's the guy that she's going to eventually have kids with, and she's a lot older than him, and so it's
Hmm.
this weird kind of like she has to like obviously be enamored with him and
Mm.
like him a lot as a child, because he's this cool kind of kid. But then there's also like weird like undercurrents of what's coming kind of thing. So that was a really weird relationship for me, because it's like you don't want her to come across too much like a sister or like
Yeah.
a mum for it to
Mm.
then go into that in like late, but then apparently George Lucas has a thing for kissing his sister, I guess, if Luke and Leia are anything to go by. But yeah,
Yeah, because
go on.
I know what you mean. There's that sequence as well where he's on the ship and he's cold in space because he's never had that experience before, and she gives him a blanket and stuff, but it could be almost interpreted as like a mother sort of Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
a
You always
comfort
say
thing. Yeah.
interpreted. Have you noticed that? You always say
No, I haven't.
interpreted.
I
It's
just can't
interpreted, man. What's
talk.
wrong with you? Jesus. Yeah, no, it's I think that she does juggle the very nice, that aside, that Anakin stuff aside, she does juggle that really nice kind of like being an empathic kind of person who cares about her people, between this also like badass warrior queen kind of thing where she's just, she's leading the charge against the droid army at the end, and trying to break into the palace and do the thing. I love Natalie Portman. Like, I really love Natalie Portman. She's like always been like one of my favorite actresses for multiple reasons, not just for that. I loved her in Thor. She's just like, Black Swan is still really haunting, but it's an incredible film if you haven't seen it. She's done so much good work, and even when you think about, like, she made her debut like when she was like Jake Lloyd's age, like 8.
Yeah.
In Leon. Yeah, which is another amazing film. Like, and she's 100% less annoying than the kid that is in Phantom Menace. It is Jake Lloyd, right? Yeah, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, her arc is very nice. It's kind of sad to me that after this, her involvement in the franchise goes right downhill, and she's just barely involved in it, really. I mean, she gets her like little Princess Leia inspired thing in episode 2, and then she's kind of like a background character in 3. She's not really in it very much. It's just sad. It's just sad that. But yeah, she was great in this. All right, let's. Well, I figure I want to talk about Obi-Wan and Darth Maul kind of towards the end. Let's talk about Sidious and annoying Anakin next, then.
Okay.
So, give me your views on annoying Anakin, Zane.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the right words now. So he's there for 2 reasons. First reason, of course, as we mentioned, he's Anakin Skywalker. Like, the whole movie is shaped around him. But at the same time, he is this 6 to 12-year-old child, so that the target audience base can insert themselves in. Because, at the end of the day, this movie is built to sell figures. Like, I remember the figures were everywhere when this came out, and they had like those weird sort of ID cards with them.
It's Star Wars and merchandising, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So, let's just say after Naboo, it's probably a good thing that his role was
matured.
Takes a back seat.